This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
During film school, I was working whenever I could as a PA, production assistant, or as a gopher, anything I could get. And after film school, drove a taxi, had several jobs, and also at the same time also moonlight and writing, and I had several jobs on porno films as a PA, production assistant, and also on some quality television films that they used to do for the public television in those days. After service in the Army in Vietnam, I came back to the United States, really a bit lost out of interest, curiosity. I went to New York University Film School, which at that time was just starting up on the GI Bill, and I had taken up in the last part of my tour in Vietnam photography and shot some of the beautiful colors of Vietnam and jungles. And eventually at school I really combined the desire to write with the desire to make a 360 presentation. And that was visual and oral came together at film school slowly. I mean, I was one of the few students at film school who went to film screenwriting class because there was not much interest at that time. It was the 1960s, late 60s. Well, I'm known for, I guess, some hard-hitting contemporary films, but I also was interested in westerns and classical history, and I did all forms of screenwriting. Some of these films are crime films, some of them are about finance, some about Wall Street, some about war, and some about presidents. So, you know, this is all I'm charting my growth of consciousness as I get older. I think that was what was going on, trying to know more about the subject matter and being curious about not only the world around me, but my own consciousness of it. It took me a while to learn a lot. I started to do documentaries later in my life, and in addition to film. I can't speak for anyone else but myself, and the subjects I chose were always difficult. So every film is a privilege to make, and should be treated as such. And the budgets are tighter and tighter because drama has declined as a subject of interest in the increasingly corporate fantasy-laden world. And, you know, drama is built on tension and sometimes discomfort. And I think the movie-going experience has been reduced to does it make money or not? And the easiest way to make money is to please them.
Welcome, ladies and gents. We're here for another brief chat, and Robert Cohen, former documentary filmmaker, is again my blessed guest. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me, Cameron. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
Allegedly.
Exactly.
We recorded.
We in no way just recorded something previous to this.
In no way were in the same booth.
No,
20 minutes ago. So I figured we'd get into the always controversial and always talkative Oliver Stone. What are his highlights? What are his low points? And why do people keep going to his giant war epics and political thrillers and biographies? For those who don't know, he, again, was the screenwriter on box office hits like Conan the Barbarian and cult movies like Scarface before diving into other giant movies that are often talked about, from Platoon to Wall Street to Natural Born Killers to The People versus Larry Flint. He is still, much like Spike Lee, just known for his, anger-fueled cinema, and just when he's great, he's really great. When he's not great, you kind of just shrug your shoulders and hope for a better hit next time. So what was your intro to this uncanny filmmaker's unpredictable work.
Yeah, I'm just going to run down a quick list real quick of the films that sort of stand out for me. And they're basically Salvador, Platoon, Wall Street, Talk Radio, Born on the 4th of July, not The Doors so much, JFK for sure, Natural Born Killers, and not Nixon so much, but W. And I wouldn't even look at World Trade Center, so I won't talk. I
don't think anyone remembers World Trade Center.
Look at it. I have no interest in that kind of entertainment.
You were wise. Didn't know what it wanted to be.
But I'll start with Salvador because to me, I think that is a much better film than Platoon. It's where he really gets the chance to show that he can take a political message and make it a real drama and make it very meaningful and very emotional and really communicate authentically about a situation that a lot of people were ignorant about and make it entertaining. And I think
I asked most people now movie. And they haven't seen it. I'm like, you're kidding. And not even on cable. And I'm like, and because I'm with you, like Platoon, we remember just for the characters, the story's been done to death.
It's very gritty and it's got some authenticity to what it's like maybe to be in war, but this the heavy-handed drama of the dying and sacrifice.
And the Rambo finale, which is a totally different tone.
Just a little bit more cartoony, whereas Salvador is just such a well-made film.
Yeah, and just a journalist. There are no people who are able to top this. And this isn't a white man, helps out a less, fortunate country. It really is just showing war journalists getting caught in the struggle with the various rebels. It does as good a job, I'd say, as Romero from about 6 years later with Raul Julia, which, involved the priests in a lot of those same, areas.
Wall Street's pretty successful too, about taking...
I cringe each time everyone quotes it. It's like,
it's a political situation about about the way, the world works with money, and it makes...
Greed is good.
It finds a way to dramatize a very complex and very entrenched part of our life that we don't often think about, and presents it in a way where it's both entertaining and makes you think about it and question it.
And how it's so systematic still to this day.
Yeah, and it's well done. What I go into more, because I actually also was a huge Eric Bogosian fan when I used to live in New York, is I saw Talk Radio, the play.
Oh, sweet.
And, that movie, too, was still on that theme of let's talk about this increased radicalization and censorship and hatred. I mean, that's kind of what we're living now. You have a person who's just voicing a progressive point of view. And
the reason Howard Stern exists, basically, he's talking about the ups and downs of the radio industry and how some people just got to get it all out of their system because they just know they're going to be taken off the air one way or another or blacklisted.
Yeah, and he's speaking truth to power and criticizing things that some people don't want criticized. And, we live in this polarized world now where, if you're speaking points of view that differ from mine, you're no longer my sort of honored opponent. You're now, even if we're fellow Americans, you are now the enemy and the poisoner of all things that are good if you have a different opinion about how things should be done, and you deserve to be murdered. I mean, that's all encapsulated in that film, way ahead of its time, and beautifully done and beautifully acted and tragic and just, I think it's a great movie.
Very underseen. It doesn't get played on TV a lot just because of the language, but it's like, well, you take that out, you got...
Yeah, it is very underseen. Speaking of anomalies, holy mackerel, I am just totally do not like Tom Cruise, but man, did he act the shit out of Born on the 4th of July. Yeah. That is his best performance. He acted I was amazed at the acting that Stone got out of him for that movie.
Did you ever see Heaven and Earth, which was like his third in the Vietnam trilogy, basically?
I have not, but I'd be interested to hear what you think. Is it worth checking out?
I'd recommend it. It's not easy to watch, but it is a keeper in that it's showing like the aftermath where all these soldiers are coming home. They don't feel like they have a purpose.
No, that would
slight
be worth
spoiler. That one of them falls in love with a Vietnamese girl, and another one, blows up his brains out when he comes home. And it is interesting in that, yes,
all real stuff.
Yeah, Platoon was his way of just showing his personal experiences and making it a soap opera with great performances. And then Born was a good way of just showing how just your life is in agony and you're just having to find out ways to go on because you find very few ways to relate to other people at that time. And it was cool in that this one just showing just again just the aftermath and everyone just their brain just cycling through it.
Sounds like a more culturally diverse version of Coming Home, because Coming Home was
yes,
about that,
that's a good contrast.
But Coming Home was just about this white American's experience versus how it affected everybody on both sides of the war after the war is over. So that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I think it just got a Blu-ray treatment, so I think you're in good hands. If it's on discount on eBay, you might push the button.
All right, I'll check it out. So JFK, I may be an outlier on this, but I'll say this first of all. I sit with my jaw hanging open in amazement watching JFK because I don't think I have ever seen a more amazingly edited film than JFK. The editing in that film is
I need to rewatch that.
Astonishing.
I do recall time just passing by. True, it was an LA Confidential or Lincoln Effect where it was like, whoa, 3 hours have gone by and I'm watching this on TV, fast forward for commercials, and I still didn't realize I went for 3 hours of this.
It's just amazing storytelling, and the editing is just a huge part of it. I know people may have their issues with too much conspiracy theory or maybe parts of it that aren't completely accurate.
It's kind of a Michael Mann and Heat effect where no one knew that someone would actually love the movie so much that they would, recreate it at the Northwest Hollywood shootout. Yeah, it's like it was inevitable, and it did, unfortunately. It's kind of like with Fight Club and Falling Down. No one could have predicted that idiots would take it out of the, misinterpret it so bad.
What are you talking about? What did they take out of JFK and make real?
Well, I'm just saying there's a lot of people who now want to dig into some conspiracies, and then
no, that all predates JFK, and it's built after JFK. I don't think JFK causes conspiracy theory about JFK. It's always been there. It always will be.
It always was there, but I think other movies decided, hey, let's come up with other conspiracy thrillers, but they're different.
I see.
For instance, there was that one shitty Johnny Depp movie with him and Forrest Whitaker that was basically, it didn't have anything to say except to speculate about the Biggie and Tupac murders.
Okay.
And then it did it even worse in that it kind of left it too ambiguous to where it was very clear it didn't have a voice. And this one is good in that while it's not an easy watch, it has a voice. And
it's a brilliant movie. And I don't think getting caught up in the issue of how accurate it is the main point. It's not meant to be accurate. It's talking about systems and the way our systems work and the way our justice system works and the way our spy agencies work and the way government works.
It's a mature speculation. And like you say, it is one of those, like I had relatives who refused to watch it. Just the minute they heard JFK, conspiracy movie, they're just like, oh, fuck that movie. I'm not watching it. I was like, well, it's very well put together. And they're like, oh, but they got this and this wrong. I'm like, yes, there are so many different parts of it.
Just to bring in a spiritual aspect to it, just in a little way, the word conspiracy comes from the same root as the word respire. So conspire basically means just breathing together. And when you watch conspiracy that's done in a sort of intelligent way, it's not necessarily saying everything in this had to be planned out in advance. But when you have a cohesion of people with similar intent, then they can just step out of the way and allow things to happen that they could have prevented. And everybody's just like, well, we all want him dead, so let's just let all this stuff unfold.
Exactly. And they did some good casting on the various suspects. And again,
very unique casting. I mean, getting John Candy and all those people, like, just to play those parts. It reminds me a little bit of the real evolution of satire that's happened with certain political films, like The Amazing Death of Stalin and the great actors in that film.
That was a pretty good satire, yeah.
Yeah, and then the current one that's going on right now in terms of streaming and what the just the amazing stuff they can do with streaming right now is the Gaslit series on Hulu about Martha Mitchell in the Watergate hearings. That's just a who's who of great comedic actors.
That just come out?
Oh yeah, it's already like on the last episode comes out. No, they have 3 more episodes out. They have 10. They've done 6 so far.
I will have to find this out. I'm not.
Yeah, it's got Patton Oswalt. The guy who does G. Gordon Liddy it's just showing you just these absurd characters fumbling their way through the halls of power, which was also the death of Stalin. You know, these bumbling idiots tripping over themselves because that power vacuum opens up. And
I see it now. Okay. Wow. Okay. I have not. I had seen the poster, but I didn't know the name.
Recommend those 2 films highly enough. Gaslit, the series, and Death of Stalin. Steve Buscemi is so, just people. It's really clever when you put really good comedic actors into these serious political satires when you're trying to really highlight the absurdity of power at a certain level and its corruption. It's really, really a good move, and JFK does that really well.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that's a good contrast, because there was one movie they did with Liam Neeson called, People and Robert Felt, and I thought that was good, but that was barely skimming the surface. And you do like a good satire, like when, like Sorry to Bother You, is a movie, for instance, that kind of takes a Paul Verhoeven almost, or Sam Raimi approach, and just makes fun of corporations, but places it in the future. So that way no one can complain. People can embrace it and be like, I see what you did there. The right people get it. And so it does stink that, just like with horror movies, like Get Out has to talk about, racial outcries, but in a horror movie form. And so it is really a shame that we got to keep masking it just because people are just not mature enough to talk about some of these subjects.
Yeah. Probably a bunch of people aren't going to care about this, but I know so many people that love Natural Born Killers, and it's an idiosyncrasy of mine. I don't expect anybody else should feel this way, but I can't stand it.
It's all good. I didn't see it for the longest time because I heard bad things about it. I enjoyed parts of it, but
yeah, I understand. It's an incredibly well-made film. It's just my sensibility. If I want to watch horror and killing, give me David Cronenberg, psychological, philosophical, stuff about the body and death. But just watching people be gratuitously inhumane and cruel for that long, it's just not something I like subjecting myself to.
It is excessive. I really only like it because of all the various making fun of the trashy, tasteless TV, like when they show the origin story and it's they do a mockery of sitcoms.
I think that's the attempt at giving that kind of cruelty a message that says that, that's kind of the soup we live in. But it doesn't justify or make it any more palatable for me. I just don't feel comfortable watching that level of cruelty. It's the same way I feel about No Country for Old Men. I'm like, nah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that one is definitely excessive. I when I saw No Country for Old Men, and then I saw plenty of other movies that predated it, like A Simple Plan, I was like, see, I think those movies did it way better. And that one just wanted to recreate Westerns versus actually bring anything new to the table. But everyone remembered it because of the Dark Knight type villain.
And they're both really well-made films. I mean, clearly, I understand why people like Natural Born Killers. It's well-made. No Country for Old Men, he's an incredibly cinematic villain, but I think I just feel too emotionally just the cruelty of it, and I feel like I'm subjecting myself to that in a way that, like with many films, I can suspend my disbelief. Well, that's the problem, I guess. I need to suspend my disbelief,
but some of them sometimes,
because I get too sucked in, and I feel it too viscerally and emotionally, and it's kind of traumatic, and so it just doesn't work for me. But I understand why other people would like it.
In all fairness, it does get annoying when some actors will play to the camera and the directors won't even correct them. They're like, I love working with you so much. It's like, dudes, just put the brakes on this. No one's buying this.
I think in Natural Born Killers, he probably even directed them to play to camera because, in a sense, they're becoming media figures as if they're being produced by.
Yeah, that's really what I liked about it. Had it just been a Seven type clone, I wouldn't have liked it. But
yeah, there was that part of it I got and thought that was a little bit interesting, but yeah, it's just my own personal taste. I understand if, like I said, if other people like
Well,
it.
it's kind of like Pain and Gain, where it does go on quite a long time, and so that's also doesn't work in its favor.
Right.
So lately,
We
Stone's
can leave it there. I mean,
It's
we can
really
talk about some of the others, but
yeah, that's kind of where he gets lost in the fumble. After Any Given Sunday and producing a bunch of other crime and war movies, he then for lately he's just been doing just endless.
I didn't think. I just say, just to talk about his whole later things. I didn't think Nixon was very good. I thought W was kind of interesting, but it's nowhere what it should have been. Like if you compare it to the Dick Cheney film.
Oh yeah,
that film is amazing. And again, it's back to that because they realize you're satirizing the absurdity of this kind of evil and horror. So I just think that's why the casting is so brilliant, and that makeup on Bale is just awesome, and his performance is awesome. And you'll see the same thing in Gaslit. Sean Penn is killing it as Mitchell. You can't even see the makeup. He just looks so much like him, and his acting is spot on.
Right.
And
I'm not going to spoil it.
But there's a scene they're showing clips of online where he gets called into the White House and all the rest of Nixon's staff is trying to throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
And he knows that's what's going on and he turns it around on them. And the acting in that entire scene is so fucking sharp and brilliant and a little bit hilarious because it's just so crazy, all this shit that those people were doing.
Right. Not just anyone can figure out and sum up, even just in the simplest of terms. And
so for me, that's what the later films like Nixon and W are lacking. They're still going for that approach he had early, where he's really finding ways to dramatize these important issues. But I think in the later films, he's missing the absurdity and the opportunity for satire and humor to really make these horrible crimes more meaningful and more palatable and more entertaining.
That's a good segue.
And by making them more entertaining, it's not just it makes them therefore more informative. And I feel you can walk away from those films and not feel like you've been informed that much.
Kind of. I think that's a good way to put it. My issue with The Doors is that for instance, it was kind of ho-hum when I first saw it, but I kind of enjoyed it later on just because of the dream sequences. And it's like, see, that's where his vision really took place, because no one knows anything else about him other than that he could be very moody and, full of himself. And without it, it's just another coming of age. I would agree with
that. That's sort of the highlight of that film.
That is also kind of an issue also of, say, that I kind of had with Savages, was him kind of trying to also kind of recreate what he did with Salvador and even Scarface, just show a bunch of Navy SEALs going after cartels. And it didn't feel as nuanced or as fleshed out as those other worlds,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And like you say, when he's on his game talking about finance and news media, you do feel like there is a point and he's just being very ballsy, just trying to get it all out and let the viewer follow his flow. And if you're not with him, he doesn't, he's not going to.
Well, since you brought up Scarface, I'll go ahead and just take a tiny moment to say he does deserve some credit for some of those early screenplays, I think. Yeah, I'm not going to diss on Oliver Stone too much. I think he's he may be a little meandering and a little, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with any of his documentaries. It's just been one of those. The last thing I want to do is give someone like Castro or Putin, any attention.
He just feels like he's sort of gotten into the mire of himself a bit, but I'm not going to take away from him how much he accomplished and how great some of his films are. He really did a lot of great stuff.
It was kind of like with Spike Lee. Like he had a few rough years and then, is on fire.
Yeah,
now.
Spike Lee's on fire. That, Black Klansman should have won Best Picture for sure.
The Five Bloods I thought was great. I was like, this did not deserve to go straight to Netflix. This was so well thought out.
Yeah. He's definitely on fire.
Oh, man. So thank you for being on here. And I hope we summed up for everyone, just the appeal.
Yeah, I hope people
the angry
are turned on
visions.
and want to check out some good Oliver Stone movies.
Right? What's
Yeah.
keeping you?
Thanks for the chit chat. I have a lot of fun with you, my friend. It's always good.
Yeah,
to
it's been a
dig in.
while. Yeah.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up